on stepping till you reach higher ground. And nobody turns you around. Step on up, you can claim the highest star. Straight ahead, it's not very far. Yeah. Keep on. Keep on. With the strength of your mind, you can be set free. You can overcome your past. Search deep inside and you will see. Time has come at last. Oh. Keep on, yeah. Keep on. No, you gotta keep on. Keep on. No, you gotta keep on. You can make it if you only try. Don't stop reaching till you touch the sky. Life has many ups and downs. Put your feet on solid ground. Keep on. Keep on. Keep on. You gotta keep on. Keep on. You gotta keep on. Keep on. Yeah. Keep on. Through the strength of your mind, you can be set free. You can overcome your past. Search deep inside, and you will see. Time has come at last. Keep on, yeah. Keep on. No, you gotta keep on. Keep on. No, you gotta keep on. Keep on. You gotta keep on. Keep on. You gotta keep on. Sky's the limit and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky's the limit and you know that you can have what you want, be who you are. Sky's the limit and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky's the limit and you know that you can have what you want, be who you are. Sky's the limit and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky's the limit and you know that you can have what you want, be who you are. Sky's the limit and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky's the limit and you know that you can have what you want, be who you are. Keep on, yourself, this will be mine. Can't keep
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Oh, Suki, Suki now. Hey! Come on, baby. Hey there, sugar dumplings. Let me tell you something. Girl, I've been trying. Hey, hey, oh, so good. When you're doing all the things that you wanna do. Get the best out of life, treat yourself to something new. It's a really good thing to say that I won't change my life just fine.
Assalamu alaikum, family. You're tuned into the Sajda channel, and I'm your host, Sajda Wendy Muhammad. And today is a very special day. We are honoring the birth anniversary of my mother, and we are also honoring your mothers and all the mothers that came before them that led to this beautiful life that we are all living here today. So, a lot of you always ask me things like, how were you raised? And, what were your parents like? And this will give you a little bit of a sneak peek into my mom. I started out with the song Keep On by D-Train, because one of the themes in our household was that you had to keep on. You had to keep going. You had to fight. My brother and I were never allowed to give up, to the point where we would be more afraid of her than giving up. And the idea was that the skies are the limits. We can do whatever it is that we put our mind to, and that we just had to keep on. And so that was the backdrop that I grew up under, with the soundtrack of 70s and 80s music. I was about to play a little Johnny Taylor, but I was like, Johnny, I didn't realize that some of that 70s music was a little bit risque. Yeah. But yeah, Johnny Taylor's and the all of that stuff. And then I want to take a moment and share some amazing words from our beloved leader, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, about mother and how important mother is to us in our community, in our society, how we should honor our mother. And I can honestly say that now I was a very different and very strange child. But, you know, I was never made to feel weird. I think, you know, they let me dress. Sometimes I look back on the clothes that I had on and I'm like, Mom, why you let me wear that? And she said, well, you was trying to be yourself. I'm saying that to say that, you know, being blessed to have been allowed room to grow in my spirituality, to study religion. There's pictures of me. I was a praying little child. There's pictures of me in front of the St. Benedict the Moore Chapel or church in Omaha, Nebraska, praying. That prayer was very important to me, but none of that was discouraged. I mean, my grandmother would straighten me out on a few views that I had on religion that honestly led me to where I am today. So I'm honored and I'm grateful. And I want to share these words from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for those of you who are joining here. I don't see something might be going, you know what? I'm not going to worry about Facebook and all them today. I don't see our Facebook followers. I see a lot of you guys from YouTube, but I don't see you from Facebook, but it's okay. We are going to share this so that you can see and hear some of these beautiful words from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan about mother. Okay, now I'm seeing some Facebook people coming through. Mom says she had technical difficulties. Mariella said, all praise due to Allah. Mom said, happy Friday, everyone. All beautiful tribute. Thanks for the birthday wishes. So join me in pouring love on my mom and wishing her happy birthday, because we can't do anything that's going to repay them for the life that they've given us, right? So let's enjoy our beloved leader and teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And let me play this.
Of us to be judges of our parents. I'm going to say that again. God does not permit any of us to be judges of our parents. When you become mature, you have a yardstick by which you measure your parents. And sometimes you will measure your parent, and they may not measure up to the yardstick that they applied to you or that you now apply to them. And as you get stronger and your parents get weaker because of age, there is a tendency on the part of the children to upbraid their fathers and their mothers, to rebuke them, and sometimes even be unkind to them. But Allah, God, warns all of us through the teachings of the Bible and the Holy Quran, and even in all of our traditions as an African people, that we must honor our mothers and our fathers. God in the Bible, in giving a law to the children of Israel who were to go on top to rule in the name of God, one of the commandments that he gave was that you must honor who? Your mother and your father. For what reason? That your days may be long in the land which the Lord your God gives to you. Now here's a people that were landless, a people who were enslaved and oppressed. But God, in coming to end their oppression and begin their journey toward freedom, giving them a land of their own that he would establish them in, he commanded them, honor your mother and your father, that your days may be long in the land which God has given you. If your days will be long by honoring your mother and honoring your father, then when you dishonor your parents, this is a shortness of your days. Something has gone wrong in society, in this world. The Holy Quran says specifically of the mother that a child should not even make an obnoxious sound when your parent is chastising you or rebuking you or exhort you. Sometimes a child will suck their teeth, or sometimes they'll make a sound. The Holy Quran says, don't even do that. Don't even think about raising your voice, talking back. But you're not even to make an ugly sound. Why, God, do you say that? It says, and lower your wing out of humility. Your wing represents your growth into power as a woman and a man. You grow in knowledge. You have a college degree. You grow in strength. You are stronger than your mother. You're stronger than your father. So there's always a tendency to show off your newfound intelligence, your newfound power. Well, don't tell me. You see, in my class, how did you get to class? Whatever we have, we didn't come in the world with it. Somebody helped us to get it. So we must remember our parents with honor and respect. And the Quran says, lower your wing. Don't show off your power. Lower your wing out of humility and remember she, meaning you, mother, cared for you when you were young. When you couldn't do anything for yourself, God provided somebody to do something for us, and that's why we're here today. Well, my father, I don't even know the man. Shoot. I don't know mine either. I only have the faintest picture in my mind of the top of his head, but I never remember his face. But that doesn't stop me from paying honor to him, since the seed of that man is the base of my existence.
I was so into that, I almost forgot to come back. That was so beautiful. And beautiful, beautiful. Yes, Sister Christian, that's exactly right. Just beautiful. For us to all remember that, you know, our mothers who bore us in their wombs, who held us in their wombs for 9 months. And I think what's so interesting about that, my mom talks often about what she was thinking when she was carrying me, and what the circumstances were, and all of that stuff. And I find it so interesting when you couple that with the minister. I was going to play it, but I didn't want to, like over saturate today. But he talks about how we may have thought that we were an accident. And even our parents may have thought that they made a mistake, like, oops, I'm pregnant. But nothing comes here or leaves here without Allah's permission. And Allah knows exactly what he's doing and how he wants to express himself. And no matter what the government says, no matter what people say, that life would not be coming into this world were it not for the permission of Almighty God Allah, who chose that woman, your mother, my mother, to be the steward of his expression in that very moment. Very beautiful and very powerful. So it's something for us to think about. The minister also said, honoring your mother and father. He talked about the Holy Quran and the Bible, that your days may be long. My mom and I were just talking about that the other day. And he said, when we don't do that, we are literally shortening our lives. And, I know there's a lot of people that have challenging childhoods, a lot of people that can't necessarily say that they feel comfortable with that concept of honoring maybe somebody that challenged them or abused them. But this is what I want you to think about. I want you to extract anything good that you can think of that. Maybe you're not like a lot of us that are here in the chat who have wonderful, fond memories and that can say, I really had a wonderful childhood. Maybe there were some challenges. Maybe there was some abuse there. I want you to extract, even if you can't extract anything other than to say, she brought me into this world. And who you are today has everything to do with how you came into this world, how you were brought up. And if you did have a challenging time, look, guess what? I'm going to bring it back to entrepreneurship. In these days of entrepreneurship, you have an opportunity to teach, train, and help somebody else. So there's always something of value. We were having a conversation yesterday during the fellowship meeting that no matter what is around you and no matter what is happening, you can always go into yourself to find a way to see yourself out of any problem or any situation. Some of us think that we have to be mean. Some of us think that we have to be abusive. Some of us, there's a lot of issues with sibling rivalries and things like that. But if you have a problem, the solution to the problem is already there in you. You just got to find it. And so teaching us, one of the things we're teaching the fellows is to go into themselves. We talk a lot about how there's always contrast, right? That comes up. I went to very white schools most of my life. And so there was always the contrast of them throwing up the fact that maybe they had money. They lived over in the neighborhood of the Buffetts, or, maybe they had something or an opportunity that I didn't have access to because they had relatives or parents. And so there was always that piece. Even going into college, there's always that piece. That was back then. And then today, we were talking about how social media makes our children feel insecure, makes them feel like they need to compete. Maybe they're not good enough. But each and every one of us can go inside of ourselves and say, there's something that I do. Look, when everybody in school was talking about how their family had businesses, and I was like, yeah, my family got businesses too. But I'm an entrepreneur too. I'm a babysitter. I was babysitting for my uncles and some couple of my mom's friends and relatives for $20 a week. I was an entrepreneur at 12. And so being able to turn that into something. So every circumstance that your parents gave you or put you in can be monetized today so that you can offer healing and an example to somebody else. So our mothers, our fathers, if they were there, there's all kind of beautiful lessons. If they weren't there, there's lessons. Our mothers and our fathers are the root of where we can go to even discover our authentic self and what we showed up on the planet to do. Because for whatever reason, Allah chose them. He wanted certain DNA. I always talk about how my existence was carefully curated by the Creator. And each and every one of us can say that. Carefully curated. He chose a healthy, athletic young woman. My mom was a track star. She still is very athletic, dancer, volleyball player. Chose her. And then my biological father was also a very athletic person. And the DNA in his family of a lot of intelligence, a lot of spiritual qualities in the family. But I wasn't raised by him. So he matched up that DNA. And then my father left. And then my mom married my father. My mom married my biological father left, and my mom married my father that raised me. And he was a different kind of man. Very nurturing, very much into me. But I said, look at how Allah curated that. He said, I need this recipe over here to make the person. But then I'm going to incubate it and bring this other person into the picture and let him do the rearing. And so when you hear me talk a lot about things about business and stuff like that, the business side of me definitely comes from a lot of the conversations I had with my father. And then the authenticity, the coaching, the training, and even, I can't say all of it because mom is really responsible for getting me into finance. By bringing home reports every week for me to read on finance and the economy. And to this day, every single day, I still listen to CNBC, or I watch Kitco News, or I have subscriptions to financial and economic newsletters, which is something that she started me doing when I was 12 years old. But then my coaching in terms of having strength, in terms of never giving up, in terms of honoring and respecting other people, all of that, that side of it just came from how I was reared. And so I want you to start thinking about how were you reared and how can you take some of the themes in your life growing up to curate a life for yourself, to curate who and what you are today. My father had a horse breeding business, and my brother and them would be out there cleaning the stalls and doing all kind of stuff. And I'd be in there writing receipts or organizing whoever. There was a couple of people that ran the farm sometimes that we rented to house the horses. And I'd be in there organizing papers and receipts. I had an aunt that had a daycare center, and she used to have a little cigarette used to be hanging from her mouth, and she'd have all these receipts and stuff. And I would sit in the office with her and put these receipts in piles, acclimating me to business. When we would go places, the majority of the conversations that I would have with my father would be, so what do you think about this place? What you think you would do differently? What would you do better? I remember my mom's favorite store in Old Market in Omaha. We would go in there and the lady would be sitting in a chair all the time, and there would be little or no customers in there. That store is still open to this day. I said, man, she needs some customers. And mom be shopping. My dad know how to go sit down and just wait. And he said, well, what would you do? And we would just sit there and talk. We were waiting on mom to try on stuff. We would sit there and talk about what I would do in the business, how I would improve it. So that got my mind and that muscle building and growing. So what things in your life, good or bad? I'm a avid music lover, but we were really into music in our family. There was a lot of basement parties. We ain't gonna talk about that, Mom. A lot of basement parties where me and my brother, my stepbrothers, my cousin, we'd be peeking downstairs and they'd be down there getting it on. But all of that, I learned from that. I remember the parties and the $5 to get in and counting the money and, just learning how to take how I grew up. What is innate? Where is that experience? See, we don't always have to start over from scratch, but that's what we think. See, when we go into the world, we go to college or we look on social media, we think I got to start all over. No, what was happening in your household that you can use to curate a life for yourself so that you can make money for yourself and be able to sustain yourself? If you were homeless, then having coaching, counseling, a shelter for homeless people is something that you would have a niche and experience in over people who get these grants and just decide they want to do it. If you were human trafficked, you got more experience than people who just get a grant and say, oh, I'm going to do this. Way more. That's how I am in business. That's how long I've been doing it. That's how long I've been studying it. Mom's birthday actually is yesterday, and it's the same day as Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I remember winning a scholarship on an essay about Martin Luther King. I grew up hearing about Martin Luther King all the time because every year she would say MLK and me. So there's certain vibrational and certain energetic things that we can go back into ourselves and think about instead of starting over from scratch. My brother loves cars. He loves driving. He would have them little match cars all over the place. We'd be tripping and falling. And to this day, I always say he should be a car manufacturer or a car dealer, or, he drives. But I just see him owning fleets. And it's so in his DNA that even his grandson loves cars. So, there's something to that. Sandra D says, Assalamu alaikum. Happy birthday, Earth Day, anniversary, blessings, good grooming. Praise be to Allah. Sister Christian says, I love that. Mariella said, yes, ma'am, he did. Landra Nuris Sabakan Muhammad says, greetings, all regional. Oh, that's you, Regional Sky Girl. Okay, hey, girl. I didn't know that was you. Walaikum salam. Let's see who else we got. Well, y'all chatting it up. Marvelous Marva's in the house. Mom was a little late. She said she was having some technical difficulties, but join me in wishing my mother. And here's the other way. Here's the other thing. This just came to me just this second. When the minister talks about honoring your mother and father and your days will be long, you know, when you go into yourself and your upbringing and you curate a life for yourself, which in essence is honoring them, you're following the direction of the scripture or of God, even without consciously per se doing so. You may not put a statue up, you may not put a sign up, you may not name the business, but just by you taking your life upbringing. I know somebody who had a mom, unfortunately, who had an addiction. And now he runs a rehabilitation center and a reentry program that is huge and is very successful. But he knows the business. He knows the ins and outs. He knows what is needed, and he knows how to speak into that vein. He's got the vernacular for it. So many times we just go, I want to start a nonprofit. I'm just getting ready to do this or that. What is it that you want to do? What is it that you grow up doing? I mentioned my brother with cars. I totally see him being wildly successful in a business that has something to do with cars and vehicles, because it's just what he's gravitated to. There's an energy there. Some people, I used to do hair all the time. Now I don't have a hair salon, but I've been heavily into the spa industry. Skin was something that was important to me because I've always had bad allergies. I had eczema growing up. And so just learning skincare products, and I could tell you every herb, every remedy, everything. So, you know, when I went into the spa and wellness piece, it made sense that my Massage Envy franchise did better with skincare even than massage, because it's just something that was innate to me, something that I knew because it's something I have been studying and experiencing my whole life, just loving it. So I wanted to share that with us today, not necessarily being vain to say just honor my mother, but honor your mother, and use this as an example as I honor my mother, to go into yourself and see, what did they deposit in you? What did their life circumstances expose you to that makes you a subject matter expert today? See, we always picking stuff. Oh, I want to be this or I want to be that. But why are you picking that? I tell this story all the time when we're talking about authenticity, about how I would interview young medical doctors, and they would say, I don't like blood. I don't like this. I don't like that. And I said, I don't understand how you go into medicine and you don't like all these things. And I remember telling one doctor, I said, I don't like smells. So that's why you see me wearing a mask. This was before COVID. You see me wearing a mask. But why don't you like blood? Why don't you like smells? You the one went into this field. I've even seen doctors who say, I don't even like people, or they only like certain people. Some people grow up and they love children. And so they, you know, that's what they want to teach. My point is that none of us are here by accident. None of us are an accident. We are all so worthy of Allah's love and attention that he came and put a piece of himself into each and every one of us. And when he put that piece of himself into each and every one of us, it is now our obligation to do something with it. We are not an accident. Every circumstance, every situation that we've been through, that happened to us growing up, both good and bad, we can take it, learn from it, package it up, and use it to help somebody else. And more than likely, it will sustain us. I always wondered growing up, like, why is there a disconnect between who people are and what they do for a living? Why is there so many people that don't like their jobs, or they like, I could be doing something else? What is the problem? It's because we're taught to do what somebody else tells us to do, to make money that how they want us to make money for them, but we're not taught to go into ourselves and figure out, what did you show up on the planet to do, and how do you sustain yourself based on who you are? And who you are is the culmination of situations and circumstances and interactions that you've navigated through as a person. And when I started to really dig into authenticity, I can tell you that the things that I love are the primary things today, or are the foundation for most of the things that I do that have generated economic streams. So we do ourselves a disservice, and we do our parents a disservice when we are disregarding who we are and disregarding the circumstances of our life and our birth, chasing something that is not even really us. All right. So listen, you all, love somebody today, support somebody today. Let me give you a hint on how you can really be super duper blessed. And I have a few of them. When you help somebody else to reach their dreams, your dream just appears in front of you. When I started coaching and training and helping entrepreneurs to move their businesses forward, to move their lives forward by teaching them to do just what I talked to you about today. Let's go into you and figure out how to build a business for you that will be evergreen, right? Then blessings start coming for me. I'm always looking at somebody like, how can I support them? How can I help them? What can I do? Okay. So that's a way to bless yourself. Be kind to others. It's Friday. It's the beginning of the year. Some people going through stuff. Some people not happy. And most of the time where we're stressed out is because we are resisting something. Resisting information. Resisting doing something crazy. Listen. Let's focus on being our authentic self, on honoring our mothers and fathers, going inside of ourselves and studying ourselves. If your parents are alive, ask them, what were you doing right before I was born, or right before you conceived me? And if they're not alive, then think about, what the circumstances are of your birth, of your life. What are some of the things that were big themes in your household, in your life, that you can now turn into a business? I've seen people who grew up in families that did illegal stuff all the time, and now they are fighting crime because they know the mind. So happy birthday to my mom. Happy birthday to your mom. Let's honor our mothers, our fathers, honor our parents, and honor the circumstances under which we came into this world, and understand that nothing comes here or leaves here without Allah's permission. And if we want to make our days long, we have to find a way to make sure that we are honoring our parents. And again, I'm not saying put a statue in your yard. You may not even name a business or a child after them. But what you can do is go inside of yourself and be successful and go further that maybe they were able to go. Every time I go places, I think about, man, my grandmother would have loved to have been able to go to this place. My mom always taught us that each generation should do better. And sometimes, even though they may teach us this, they may not have a blueprint on how that happens. They may even be afraid because we're stepping out there and we out there on a ledge. But guess what? Each generation should do better. And we can begin by being our authentic self, going into ourselves, honoring our family members, honoring ourselves, and really striving to be the best that we can be. All right, family. We will see you all tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, we're going to resume our reading and conversation on the art and science of business. Really, today was also the art and science of business, because in talking about authenticity, we're talking about how to monetize who we are. So I have a coaching program called Authenticity Coaching. If you sign up, if you buy one session, you get another session for free. The first session is a 2-hour session. The follow-up session is a 1-hour session. You can go to booksajdwendymuhammad.com to learn more about that. But here's what we're doing in that course. We are working to discover, own, and monetize our authentic self. What do we show up on the planet to do? All right, so let me read the rest of these birth shout outs and we're going to get out of here. Sister Aletha says, happy birthday, Mom. Peace and many blessings during your next rotation around the sun. Love you. Oh, Mom, Jeff said happy birthday. I'm trying to think of who else. Minister Ishmael said happy birthday. Sister Christine says, okay, we talked about Sister Christine. Landra Sabakan. Y'all got some names on here today. Landra Nura Sabakan. That's powerful. I pray that your mom had a happy birthday. Thank you, each and every one of you. They probably already gonna take this down. So spread it, because at the beginning I played a song and then we played the minister. So they might not let this live. So share it as much as you can before that happens. And encourage anybody that you know to honor their mother and father and to think about the circumstances under which they came into the world and under which they were reared, that can be transformed into an authentic product or service or a manner in which they can sustain themselves. All right, family. Peace and blessings. Love you all. Again, happy Friday. And we'll see you all tomorrow. We'll talk business tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.